The alarms blared through the steel vanes of the underwater research dome, a dissonant symphony that bounced off the glass observatories submerged beneath the icy crust of Europa. Dr. Layla Monroe skidded across the slick floor, her heart pounding in sync with the red flashing lights. "Seal all sectors," she shouted, her voice echoing through the dome's intercom system as she scrambled towards the main lab. The research dome, a marvel of human ingenuity, had been Layla's home for nearly a year. Its transparent walls offered a constant view of the swirling inky depths outside, a reminder of the isolation and vulnerability of their existence beneath Europa's frozen ocean. Yet, it wasn't the depths that threatened them now. It was something far more alien. "Layla, the rogue planet's trajectory is confirmed," Brent called from his station, fingers dancing over the holographic interface. "It's headed straight for us." "And the transmission?" she asked, her breath fogging up her visor as she strapped herself into her command chair. "It's music," Brent replied, eyes wide with disbelief. "Our music. They're responding to our signals with fear." The alien transmission had begun weeks ago, initially a curiosity, a series of incomprehensible data streams. But when human broadcasts, songs from Earth, beamed out into the cosmos on a whim, elicited a response, everything changed. The rogue planet, a colossal celestial wanderer, had altered course, its trajectory now locked onto Europa. Layla felt a chill that had nothing to do with the sub-zero temperatures outside. "What do they want?" she murmured, more to herself than to Brent. "I don't think they want anything, Layla. They're afraid of us," he replied, his voice a whisper in the electric air. Layla's heart thudded painfully in her chest. Fear? Of music? What power did Earth's harmonies hold over these advanced beings? A power unknown, unmeasured, and now dangerously misunderstood. The dome shuddered, a violent tremor that sent instruments clattering to the floor. "The rogue planet is accelerating," Brent cried, his eyes scanning the readings with frantic urgency. "It's like they're trying to silence us." A sickening realization dawned on Layla. The music of Earth, a cultural artifact as old as humanity itself, had somehow become a weapon in the vast cosmic theater. A weapon too potent, perhaps, for even its creators to fathom. The dome's systems screamed warnings, the pressure readings spiking dangerously as the celestial behemoth drew closer. Layla's fingers danced over the control panel, initiating countermeasures, her mind racing to devise a strategy to avert the impending doom. "Prepare the sonic defenses," she ordered, her voice steady despite the chaos. "We need to show them that we can be heard, but not silenced." Outside, the rogue planet loomed ever larger, its gravitational pull already tugging at the European seas. As Layla glanced at the instruments, a thought flickered through her mind, a glimmer of hope amid the encroaching darkness. Perhaps, just perhaps, they could turn the tide, using the very thing the aliens feared. The dome trembled once more, the walls creaking as if under the weight of 1,000 oceans. Layla steeled herself, her resolve crystallizing with every passing second. The confrontation was inevitable, but the outcome? That was still to be written. In the depths of Europa, the stage was set, and the music of Earth played on, a haunting melody that resonated through the cosmos, daring the alien world to listen. The emergency lights flickered, casting a harsh, intermittent red glow across the control room. The air was thick with tension as the crew of the Ark reconnaissance vessel, Hope's End, scrambled to make sense of the chaos unfolding on their screens. The rogue planet, initially a distant curiosity, had revealed itself as a harbinger of doom, its gravitational pull wreaking havoc on Earth's delicate balance. Captain Alara Voss stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the holographic display that showed the planet's relentless trajectory. She was a veteran of the star lanes, her reputation forged in the fires of conflict and exploration. Her steely resolve had seen her through countless challenges, but this was different. "Status report," she barked, her voice cutting through the cacophony of alarms and hurried voices. Lieutenant Marcus Tan, the ship's navigator, was hunched over his console, fingers flying across the interface. "Captain, the rogue planet's trajectory is on a collision course with Earth. Its gravitational influence is already causing severe tidal disruptions and triggering seismic activity across the globe. How much time do we have?" Alara demanded, her mind racing through possibilities and contingencies. "At current speed, impact is projected in just under 36 hours, Marcus replied, his voice strained but steady. Alara's gaze shifted to Dr. Lyra Chen, the ship's astrophysicist. Options? Lyra's brow was furrowed in concentration as she analyzed the data streaming in from their sensors. Her normally vibrant eyes were shadowed with the gravity of the situation. We could attempt a gravitational slingshot maneuver to alter its trajectory, but it would require precise calculations and the deployment of our entire nuclear arsenal to generate the necessary force. Even then, there's no guarantee. And the risks? Alara pressed. Lyra hesitated, her fingers dancing over the data. If we miscalculate, we could inadvertently accelerate its course or fragment the planet, creating a debris field that could be even more catastrophic. The room fell silent, the weight of the decision looming over them. Alara knew the stakes, they all did. Humanity's survival hinged on their next move. Prepare the calculations, Alara said finally, her voice firm. We don't have the luxury of time. As Lyra and Marcus set to work, Alara turned her attention to the ship's communications officer, Lieutenant Zara Patel. Any word from Earth Command? Zara shook her head, frustration etched on her features. Communications are spotty at best. The gravitational disturbances are wreaking havoc on our networks. Last transmission indicated mass evacuations are underway, but coordination is challenging. Alara nodded, her mind a whirlwind of strategy and calculation. The rogue planet was an uninvited guest, a behemoth that had emerged from the void with no warning, and it threatened to erase all that humanity had built. Yet she knew that if they could weather this storm, they might just emerge stronger, more united. Captain, Marcus called out, breaking into her thoughts. I've got a rough trajectory for the slingshot, but we'll need to deploy the nukes at precise intervals to maximize the gravitational shift. Alara moved to his console, studying the path he'd mapped out. It was a tightrope walk, a dance on the edge of oblivion. Do it, she said, clapping him on the shoulder. We didn't come this far to stand by and watch. We fight. As the crew sprang into action, Alara felt the familiar rush of adrenaline, the sense of purpose that had driven her through every trial she'd faced. This was it, the moment that would define them all. But even as she rallied her team, a new threat loomed on the horizon. The rogue planet was not alone. It had brought with it an unexpected passenger, a massive alien vessel, dormant but unmistakably present, its silhouette emerging like a ghost from the planet's shadow. Captain, Zara's voice held a note of disbelief. We're picking up energy signatures, unknown origin. It's coming from the rogue planet. Alara's eyes narrowed. On screen, the holographic display shifted, revealing the alien craft. Its design was unlike anything they had encountered, organic curves and sharp angles intertwined in an architecture that seemed both ancient and advanced. It bristled with the potential for destruction. Lyra, analysis, Alara ordered, her mind racing with the implications. Lyra's face was a mask of concentration as she examined the readings. It's generating massive power, but it's not a propulsion system. It's like a weapon. A planetary defense mechanism, perhaps. What are the chances it's here to protect the rogue planet? Marcus asked, his voice tinged with apprehension. Alara didn't answer immediately. Her instincts told her that this was no mere coincidence. The rogue planet, the alien vessel. There was a connection, a purpose that eluded them. And now, with Earth's survival hanging by a thread, they had to contend with an unknown adversary. Prepare for defensive maneuvers, Alara commanded, her resolve hardening. If that thing poses a threat, we need to be ready. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, each member a vital cog in the machinery of survival. As they prepared for the dual threats of the rogue planet and the alien vessel, Alara felt the weight of leadership settle on her shoulders. She had to be strong, for them, for Earth. Incoming transmission, Zara announced, a thread of urgency in her voice. It's from the alien vessel. Alara's heart skipped a beat. Put it through. The screen flickered, and an alien visage filled the display. The creature was humanoid, but its features were strikingly different, iridescent skin that shifted colors, eyes like liquid silver, and a presence that emanated authority and ancient wisdom. I am Arak of the Vardari, the alien spoke, its voice resonating with an otherworldly timbre. Your actions threaten to disrupt the balance of the cosmos. Stand down, or face annihilation. Alara met Arak's gaze, unflinching. We mean you no harm, Arak of the Vardari. But this planet threatens our home. We have no choice but to act. You misunderstand, Arak replied, an edge of warning in its tone. This world is not your enemy. It is a vessel, carrying the seeds of new beginnings. Your interference could doom not just your world, but countless others. Alara felt the chill of revelation wash over her. The rogue planet was not a mere wanderer. It was a harbinger of life, a cosmic arc. Yet their survival instincts had painted it as a threat. Then help us, Alara urged, desperation tinging her voice. There must be a way to coexist, to preserve both our worlds. Arak regarded her for a long moment, the silence heavy with possibility. Perhaps there is a path, it said at last. A symbiotic convergence. But it will require sacrifice, a willingness to embrace the unknown. Alara's mind raced, grappling with the enormity of the choice before them. To align with this alien entity, to trust in a future they could barely comprehend, was a leap into the abyss. But as she looked around at her crew, at Marcus, Lyra, Zara, and all the others who stood ready to fight for their world, she knew that humanity's greatest strength was its ability to adapt, to survive. They had always found a way to thrive in the face of adversity. Then let us walk that path together, Alara declared, her voice steady with conviction. We will find a way to harmonize our worlds. Arak inclined its head, a gesture of acknowledgement. Very well, Captain Alara Voss. We shall endeavor to guide this convergence. But know this. The journey will be perilous, fraught with challenges that will test your resolve. Alara nodded, steel in her gaze. We've faced the impossible before. We'll do it again. With the alliance forged, the crew of Hope's End set to work, their mission now one of cooperation rather than conflict. As they labored alongside the Vardari, the rogue planet's course began to shift, a subtle dance of gravitational forces that promised a new dawn. Yet even as hope flickered on the horizon, the road ahead was fraught with danger. The alien vessel's weapon systems remained primed, a reminder of the thin line between peace and destruction. And deep within the rogue planet, slumbering forces stirred, their awakening imminent. The convergence would be their salvation, or their undoing. But as the ship's engines hummed with renewed purpose and the crew worked with tireless determination, Alara felt the spark of possibility ignite within her. Humanity had always thrived in the face of adversity, and now, united with an alien ally, they stood on the brink of a future that was both terrifying and magnificent. As the rogue planet loomed ever closer, the true test of their resolve awaited. In the vastness of space, where destiny was forged from the crucible of crisis, Alara and her crew would discover the limits of their courage and the boundless potential of hope. The rogue planet loomed like an unblinking eye in the void, its dark surface absorbing the feeble light of distant stars. From afar, it was a silent specter, drifting through the solar system with grim inevitability. But to the crew of the USS Valkyrie, it was an omen of dread, promising no easy escape. Inside the bridge of the Valkyrie, Commander Alara Voss stood rigidly, her eyes fixed on the holographic display of the alien planet. Her crew worked in tense silence, their faces illuminated by the azure glow of consoles. The air was thick with the unspoken fear that clung to them like a persistent shadow. The alien transmission, intercepted by their deep space sensors, filled the room with a haunting melody. It was a sound unlike any they had ever encountered. A dissonant symphony of metallic screeches and sonorous hums, punctuated by what felt like the distant wails of a dying world. It was a warning, a threat, and a plea, all rolled into one. Commander Voss, Lieutenant Harper's voice broke the oppressive quiet. The signal is originating from multiple points across the rogue planet's surface. It's as if the entire planet is singing. Voss turned her gaze from the display to Harper, her expression steely. And the analysis on the interference with our systems? Harper shook his head grimly, tapping at his console. It's like nothing we've seen. The interference is not only jamming communications but also disrupting our navigation systems. It's almost as if the melody is alive, adapting to counter our every move. Voss clenched her jaw, cursing under her breath. What about their fear of our music? Is there any truth to it? Dr. Kato Nakamura, the ship's xenolinguist, stepped forward, his brows furrowed in concentration. There are hints in their communications, references to the discord of humanity and the cacophony of Earth. It seems our music, or perhaps the emotion it conveys, affects them profoundly. Profoundly how? Voss pressed, her eyes narrowing. Is it a weapon or a deterrent? Nakamura hesitated, choosing his words carefully. It's difficult to say. Their language is complex, layered with metaphor. It might be akin to how certain frequencies can disrupt human concentration or induce anxiety. It's not a physical weapon, but it could be psychological. Commander Voss exhaled slowly, the weight of the unknown pressing heavily on her shoulders. We need to find a way to use that, but without knowing more, it's a gamble. As the crew continued their frantic efforts to decipher the alien transmissions, Ensign Mia Calder glanced nervously towards Voss. Commander, if they fear our music, shouldn't we try broadcasting something? Maybe it could buy us time, or at least disrupt their hold on our systems. Voss considered the suggestion, her mind racing through potential outcomes. It's risky, but we're running out of options. Begin preparations to transmit a sequence. Use something with range and depth, perhaps Beethoven's Symphony No. 9. Calder nodded, fingers flying over her console. Preparing transmission. The tension in the room was palpable, every crew member acutely aware of the stakes. The rogue planet, with its alien melodies, seemed to pulse in anticipation, as if it sensed the imminent clash of resonances across the void. ****** In the dimly lit corridors of the Valkyrie, technician Samara Trent navigated the claustrophobic confines of the engineering bay. She wiped a sheen of sweat from her brow, her mind racing with calculations and contingencies. The rogue planet's interference had wreaked havoc on the ship's systems, and the pressure to find a solution was unrelenting. As she worked, her thoughts drifted to her fellow technician, Ben Carter. An old friend and confidant, his optimism had always been a beacon in the darkest times. But now, even his resilient spirit was beginning to wane under the relentless onslaught of alien interference. Samara found Ben hunched over a terminal, his face illuminated by the flickering glow of error messages. "Ben, any luck with the stabilizers?" He looked up, weary but determined. "Barely holding on. The interference is like a living thing, constantly shifting patterns. I've never seen anything like it." She placed a steadying hand on his shoulder. "We'll figure it out. We always do." Ben met her gaze, a flicker of hope in his eyes. "Do you really think our music can make a difference? That it might scare them off or buy us time?" Samara hesitated, knowing how thin their hopes were stretched. "I don't know, Ben. But we have to try everything. If there's even a chance it can give us the edge, we owe it to ourselves to take it." The two shared a moment of silent understanding, the bond forged through years of shared struggle and survival. In the face of overwhelming odds, they found solace in their shared determination to endure. Back on the bridge, the tension reached a crescendo as the transmission of Beethoven's Symphony No. 9 began. The ship's speakers reverberated with the timeless strains, a defiant counterpoint to the alien melody that permeated the Valkyrie's systems. For a brief moment, it seemed to work. The alien interference wavered, the cacophony retreating as if recoiling from the human composition. Hope sparked anew among the crew, a glimmer of possibility in their desperate fight. But the respite was short-lived. The rogue planet's response was swift and brutal. The alien melody surged back with renewed intensity, its complexity evolving beyond anything they had encountered. The ship's systems groaned under the strain, alarms blaring as the interference threatened to overwhelm them. Commander Voss slammed her fist against the console, frustration and desperation intertwining. "Damn it, it's adapting faster than we can counter." Dr. Nakamura's voice was tight with urgency. "Commander, the alien transmissions are shifting focus. They're targeting our life support systems." A ripple of fear swept through the crew. The rogue planet was no passive observer. It was an active participant in this deadly exchange, its intentions growing ever clearer. Voss turned to her crew, resolve hardening her features. "We can't let it get the upper hand. We need more data, more understanding of this musical warfare." As the crew embarked on a desperate scramble to counter the alien onslaught, Ensign Calder spoke up, her voice trembling with emotion. "Commander, I've been working on a theory. What if it's not just our music they fear, but the emotions it conveys? Humanity's ability to feel, to hope, to resist?" Voss considered this, her mind a whirlwind of possibilities. Perhaps the rogue planet's inhabitants had no equivalent to human emotion, no cultural lexicon for beauty or despair. Could it be that their fear was not of the music itself, but of the human condition it represented? "Keep working on that theory, Calder. We might need it sooner than we think." In the grim confines of the engineering bay, Samara and Ben continued their toil, their fingers working tirelessly over consoles and circuit boards. The ship shuddered under the relentless assault, the oppressive atmosphere underscoring the gravity of their situation. Samara looked over at Ben, her expression a mix of determination and fatigue. If Calder's right, we need to tap into more than just our music. We need to channel everything that makes us human, everything they fear. Ben nodded, his mind racing with possibilities. But how do we do that? How do we harness something as intangible as human spirit, especially against an enemy like this? Samara's eyes lit up with a sudden realization. What if we amplify it? Use the ship's systems to broadcast not just music, but the emotions tied to it. Our hopes, our defiance, everything. Ben frowned, considering the implications. It's a long shot, Sam, and we don't even know if it will work. We don't have the luxury of certainty, Ben. All we have is this moment, this chance. As they worked to implement their daring plan, the ship's alarms blared with renewed urgency. The rogue planet's interference had reached a fever pitch, threatening to extinguish the Valkyrie's life support systems. Samara's heart pounded in her chest, her resolve steeling against the mounting odds. In the face of overwhelming adversity, she found strength in the shared fight, in the unyielding bonds forged between friends and comrades. On the bridge, Commander Voss watched as her crew fought against the tide, their determination unwavering despite the looming specter of defeat. The alien melody pulsed with malevolent intent, a siren's call that threatened to drown them all. Ensign Calder's voice, though strained, carried a note of hope. Transmission ready, Commander. We're broadcasting now. As the ship's systems flared with the amplified resonance of human emotion, the rogue planet's interference wavered once more. The alien melody faltered, its rhythm disrupted by the raw intensity of Earth's defiance. For a fleeting moment, it seemed as though they might prevail. But the rogue planet was relentless, its alien consciousness rallying with a final, devastating surge. The Valkyrie shuddered under the onslaught, systems failing one by one as darkness closed in. Yet even in the face of imminent defeat, the crew held fast, their spirits unbroken. In the oppressive silence that followed, Commander Voss stood at the helm, her gaze fixed on the rogue planet. Though the odds were stacked against them, she found solace in the knowledge that they had fought with everything they had. And as the alien melody faded into silence, she knew that somehow, in some way, the fight was not yet over. A low, keening wail echoed through the cramped corridors of the colony ship Perseverance *, an ominous reminder of the rogue planet's gravitational grip tightening around them. The crew moved with a frenetic urgency, shadows cast by flickering emergency lights dancing across their faces. The situation was dire. The ship had been caught in the planet's unexpected pull, a celestial beast dragging them toward its cold, inhospitable embrace. Captain Mira Chen stood at the helm, her gaze fixed on the main viewing screen, which displayed the rogue planet in stark detail. Its surface was a chaos of swirling storms, a tumultuous sea of darkness and ice. The ship's sensors painted a bleak picture, no atmosphere, no life, just an endless expanse of desolation. Yet, through the veil of data, Mira saw a distant flicker of hope. It was faint, but it was there, a possible energy signature buried deep within the planet's core. A mystery that needed solving if they were to survive. Status report, she barked, her voice cutting through the tension like a scalpel. We're losing altitude, Chief Engineer Rohan Singh replied, his voice strained. The gravitational pull is stronger than anticipated. If we don't break free soon, we'll be torn apart in the descent. Mira nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. The rogue planet was unlike any they had encountered before, its gravity unpredictable and unstable. It was as if it had a will of its own, a predator toying with its prey. Options? She asked, turning to her senior officers. We could attempt to recalibrate the thrusters, try to counter the gravitational pull, Lieutenant Zara Costa suggested, her fingers dancing across the console as she ran simulations. But it's risky. We could easily overheat the engines. And if we fail, Mira prompted, needing to know the full extent of their peril. Then we become part of the planet, Zara replied, a grim determination in her eyes. Crushed, frozen, forgotten. Myra's resolve hardened. We can't let that happen. We need to find a way to utilize that energy signature. It might be our only chance. As the crew scrambled to prepare for the risky maneuver, the ship's PA system crackled to life. "Captain," came the voice of Dr. Elias Monroe, the ship's xenobiologist. "I think you should see this." Mira hurried to the research lab, where Elias was hunched over a screen, his eyes wide with disbelief. "What is it, Elias?" she asked. "Look at this," he said, gesturing to the screen. It showed a series of complex patterns, a language of energy readings and atmospheric shifts. "The planet's storms. There's a pattern to them. It's almost as if they're communicating." The implications were staggering. A rogue planet that could communicate? It defied everything they knew about planetary science. But in the chaos of their situation, it was a glimmer of something new, something to grasp onto. "We need to decipher it," Mira said, her mind already turning over the possibilities. "If we can understand what it's saying, it might help us survive." Elias nodded, already lost in the data. "I'll do my best, Captain." As Mira returned to the bridge, she was met with a fresh wave of challenges. The ship shuddered violently, alarms blaring as systems began to fail under the strain. The crew fought to stabilize their descent, but the rogue planet seemed determined to claim them. "Captain, we've got a problem," Zara called out. "The recalibration isn't working. The engines are overheating faster than expected." Mira cursed under her breath. "Shut them down before we lose them completely." Zara's fingers flew over the controls, and the ship lurched as the engines powered down. Silence followed, a heavy, oppressive quiet that pressed against their eardrums. "We need another plan," Mira said, pacing the bridge. "Suggestions?" Rohan spoke up, his voice carrying a note of desperation. "We could try a controlled crash landing. If we aim for that energy signature, we might be able to use it to power the ship's systems." Mira considered the proposal. It was reckless, but it was also their only viable option. "Do it," she said, steeling herself for what was to come. The crew worked in a synchronized frenzy, each member pushing themselves to their limits. As they approached the planet's surface, Mira felt the weight of her responsibility pressing down on her. Lives depended on her decisions, lives she had sworn to protect. The ship's descent was a blur of fire and metal, the hull screaming in protest as it sliced through the planet's thick atmosphere. Mira held her breath, every instinct screaming at her to pull up, to abort, but she forced herself to stay the course. With a bone-jarring impact, the Perseverance touched down, skidding across the frozen wasteland before finally coming to a halt. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the groans of the ship as it settled into its new, hostile home. Mira struggled to her feet, assessing the damage. The ship was intact, but barely. They had survived the crash, but their troubles were far from over. The energy signature was close, but unreachable with their current resources. And the planet's icy embrace was already seeping into the ship, threatening to extinguish what little warmth they had left. "Status?" she demanded, looking around at her dazed but determined crew. "We're alive," Rohan replied, wincing as he checked the systems. "But we've lost primary power. We're on reserves now." Mira clenched her fists, feeling the weight of their situation pressing down on her. "We need to reach that energy source. It's our only hope." Dr. Monroe appeared at her side, clutching a tablet filled with data. "Captain, I've made some progress on the storm patterns. I think I understand their rhythm. If we can harness it, we might be able to use it to power the ship." Mira seized on the idea, her mind racing. "Can you do it?" Elias hesitated, then nodded. "I can try, but I'll need help. We need to set up field generators outside the ship to capture the energy." "I'll assemble a team," Zara volunteered, already moving to gather supplies. Mira watched her crew spring into action, a fierce pride swelling in her chest. Humanity had always thrived under pressure, finding ways to adapt to even the most hostile environments. But this was something new, a challenge unlike any before. As the team suited up and prepared to venture outside, Mira couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The planet's storms raged around them, their fury palpable, yet there was an intelligence there, a conscious awareness that sent shivers down her spine. The team stepped out onto the frozen surface, the harsh wind biting through their suits as they struggled to set up the field generators. Mira watched from the bridge, her heart in her throat as each step brought them closer to either salvation or destruction. Minutes stretched into hours as the crew battled the elements, their progress painstakingly slow. Mira could see the strain in their movements, the exhaustion etched into their faces, but they pressed on, driven by the hope of survival. Finally, the generators hummed to life, their fields crackling with captured energy. The ship's systems flickered back online, a surge of warmth flooding through the corridors as the planet's power coursed through them. "We did it," Zara's voice crackled over the comms, filled with triumph. Mira allowed herself a moment of relief, but it was short-lived. The planet's storms intensified, as if angered by their defiance. The ground trembled beneath them, and Myra's heart sank as she realized their victory was not yet complete. "We need to get back inside, now," she ordered, her voice cutting through the chaos. The team scrambled to comply, fighting their way back to the safety of the ship. The storm's fury was relentless, and Myra's eyes widened in horror as she saw Elias stumble, the ground giving way beneath him. "Hold on," she shouted, but her voice was lost in the wind as Elias disappeared from view. Myra's heart pounded in her chest as she watched Zara and Rohan struggle to reach their fallen comrade. Seconds felt like hours as they fought against the storm, finally managing to pull Elias to safety. The team staggered back inside, collapsing in a heap as the ship sealed shut behind them. Mira rushed to their side, relief and dread warring within her. "Elias?" she asked, desperate for reassurance. He looked up at her, his face pale and drawn. "I'm okay," he managed, though his voice was weak. "But we have a problem." Myra's heart sank as she followed his gaze to the viewport, where the storm raged with renewed fury. The planet was fighting back, its will manifest in the chaos around them. "We need to leave," Rohan said, his voice filled with urgency. "The storm's going to tear us apart if we stay." Mira nodded, her mind racing. They had tapped into the energy source, but it was unstable, a fleeting lifeline that could be snatched away at any moment. "Prepare for takeoff," she ordered, knowing it was their only chance. The crew sprang into action, their movements fueled by adrenaline and fear. The ship's engines roared to life, straining against the planet's grip as they fought to break free. As they ascended, the storm closed in around them, a maelstrom of ice and fury determined to drag them back down. The ship shuddered violently, alarms blaring as systems began to fail once more. Myra's hands gripped the controls, her knuckles white with effort. They were so close, yet the planet refused to release its hold. The ship lurched, and Myra's heart dropped as she felt the pull of gravity intensify. They were losing altitude, the storm's power too great to overcome. In that moment, as the darkness closed in around them, Mira understood what made humanity special. It wasn't their technology or their drive to explore the stars. It was their ability to face the impossible, to fight on when all hope seemed lost. A fierce determination burned in her chest as she looked at her crew, their faces etched with fear and resolve. They had come this far together, and they would not give up now. "We're not done yet," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos. Together, they fought against the storm, their collective will a beacon in the darkness. As the ship struggled to break free, Mira knew that this moment would define them, a testament to the indomitable spirit that made them human. The ship's engines roared, a desperate cry for survival as they clawed their way upward, inch by excruciating inch. The planet fought back with all its fury, but Mira and her crew refused to yield. And then, as hope flickered on the brink of extinction, the storm's grip loosened. The ship surged upward, breaking through the clouds into the clear, star-studded void of space. A ragged cheer erupted from the crew, their voices filled with relief and triumph. They had done it. Against all odds, they had survived. Mira slumped back in her seat, exhaustion washing over her. They had faced their darkest moment and emerged victorious. But as she gazed out at the rogue planet, still visible against the backdrop of stars, she knew the fight wasn't over. The universe was vast and full of unknowns, each mystery a new challenge to be faced. But they were ready, their spirits unbroken, their resolve unyielding. Humanity was far from perfect, but it was their flaws that made them strong. They would face whatever came next with the same courage and ingenuity that had brought them this far. And together, they would continue to defy the impossible. The black void stretched interminably in all directions, an abyssal sea through which the rogue planet, dubbed Nyx by beleaguered astronomers, drifted. It had plunged the Earth into a twilight of fear and desperation, casting long shadows over humanity's fragile bastion. Dust and debris from the initial collision with the outer solar system blanketed the skies, choking the life-giving rays of the sun. The planet was not merely content with its cosmic wander, it had brought devastation in its wake, a rolling apocalypse that was already consuming Earth. Amidst the chaos, the remnants of humanity huddled in the shelter arcs, colossal fortresses buried deep beneath the Earth's ravaged crust. They were humanity's last hope, a network of interconnected sanctuaries designed to hold the seeds of a future that now seemed more uncertain than ever. But the arcs were never meant to be a permanent refuge, merely a stopgap until the heavens relented or humanity found a way to reclaim its world. Commander Lila Voss stood in the command hub of Arc Epsilon, her eyes scanning the digital readouts with a precision honed by years in Earth's orbital defense force. Communications are still down with Arc Delta, she noted, her voice a brittle shard in the tense silence. Status on the primary generators? A soft beep preceded the response from Chief Engineer Tomas Chen, his face gaunt and eyes shadowed from too many hours spent under artificial lighting. Running at 56%. We had to divert power to life support and essential systems. Non-critical areas are dark, Voss grimaced. And the geothermal taps? Maxed. The planet's cooling faster than anticipated. It's like the whole damn thing is folding in on itself, Chen replied, a hint of awe in his voice. We are buying time, but not much. Time, the one resource that had always been in short supply. Voss clenched her fists, her mind racing through options as she listened to the faint hum of the Arc's systems struggling to keep the darkness at bay. They had been down here for what felt like an eternity, living on recycled air and hope. Outside, the world had turned into an alien realm, a frigid wasteland prowled by the rogue planet's gravitational tendrils. We need to make contact with Delta, Voss said, urgency threading through her words. They might have found a way to re-establish communication with the surface. Chen nodded, though doubt shadowed his features. We sent a team topside 2 days ago, but the last transmission was garbled. Static and something else. It was the something else that made Voss's skin prickle with unease. Strange readings had been cropping up across their instruments, anomalies that defied explanation. She had feared some malevolent intelligence guiding Nyx, but such thoughts were the stuff of nightmares, not tactical planning. Prep another team, Voss ordered. We're not beaten yet. Yes, ma'am, Chen replied, though they both sensed the growing desperation in their ranks. As Chen moved to organize the details, Voss turned her attention to the scattered remnants of Earth's leadership gathered in the command hub. Scientists, military officers, political leaders, each wore a similar expression of grim determination tempered by bone-deep fatigue. They were the guardians of humanity's future, and though their numbers had dwindled, their resolve had only deepened. Dr. Alara, Voss addressed the lead xenogeologist, any progress on the data from the surface probes? Dr. Alara, a slight woman with an iron will, adjusted her glasses with a steady hand. We've matched the gravitational fluctuations to a pattern. Nyx isn't just a rogue planet. It's a harbinger, a carrier of something we've never encountered. Meaning, Alara continued, it might not be alone. Her words hung in the air, casting a pall over the already somber gathering. The implications were dire. If Nyx was not solitary in its assault, then humanity faced adversaries far beyond their comprehension. We must assume the worst-case scenario, Voss declared, her voice firm despite the weight of the revelation. Prepare for full contingency measures. We need every mind focused on survival and countermeasures. The room fell silent, each person contemplating the enormity of their task. Yet, amidst the despair, a flicker of defiance sparked in their eyes. The overconfidence of Nyx, or whatever malevolent forces lay behind its trajectory, might prove to be their undoing. Humanity had always thrived in the crucible of adversity, rising from the ashes of cataclysms, forging civilizations from the chaos of nature's wrath. Voss knew that their adversaries, whatever they were, likely underestimated the indomitable spirit of humankind. It was a lesson taught by eons of survival against the odds. Begin coordination with the remaining arcs, Voss instructed, a plan beginning to coalesce in her mind. We might be fractured, but we are not broken. We will find a way to push back. As the command hub buzzed with activity, Voss turned to the viewport, a thick pane of reinforced polymer that allowed a glimpse of the world outside. The surface was a bleak tableau of grays and blacks, the Earth scarred by the rogue planet's approach. But beyond the desolation, she imagined the stars still shone with undying light, their radiance a promise of hope. 3 days later, hope had begun to feel like an ephemeral concept. The Ark's stores of food and water dwindled, rationing becoming tighter with each passing day. Those who had once lived under the open sky now craved even the memory of it, a longing that gnawed at them more than hunger. But in the heart of the command hub, a tenuous breakthrough had reignited the fires of determination. The data from the latest surface expedition, transmitted back through a hastily repaired satellite link, provided a glimmer of understanding about their foe. Nyx's gravitational anomalies weren't natural phenomena but deliberate manipulations. A signal, encoded within the very fabric of space-time, had been detected, riding the waves of distortion like a message in a bottle. "What are we dealing with here?" Voss demanded, her eyes locked on the swirling holoprojection in the center of the room. Dr. Alara, flanked by a team of exhausted but invigorated scientists, gestured at the display. "It's a kind of symphony, a signal composed of gravitational notes. We've managed to decipher fragments, a sort of language, and it speaks of conquest," Alara replied, her voice steady despite the weight of the words. "Nyx is a vanguard, a tool of an intelligence that sees us as a mere obstacle." A collective intake of breath echoed through the hub. This was confirmation of their worst fears, yet it was also a revelation that galvanized action. "We need to find a way to disrupt the signal," Voss said, her mind racing with possibilities. "If we can interfere with their control over Nyx, we might be able to break its hold on our planet." Chen nodded, already working through the logistics. "We could use the geothermal taps to generate a counter-frequency. It's risky, but it could work." "Risk is a luxury we can afford," Voss replied, her resolve as unyielding as the bones of the earth. "We need to take this chance. Prepare the tap systems for a full-scale modulation." As the team set to work, the hub became a hive of activity, each person channeling their fear and hope into the endeavor. They were fighting not just against a rogue planet, but against the very concept of submission. News of the plan spread through the Ark like wildfire, igniting a sense of purpose among the inhabitants. In the face of annihilation, unity became their shield, determination their sword. On the surface, the world lay silent and still, a frozen panorama under the oppressive weight of Nyx's influence. Yet within that silence, humanity's defiance took form, a pulse of energy rippling through the earth from the depths of Ark Epsilon. The taps, engaged in concert, unleashed a calculated symphony of counter-frequencies, a sharp and resonant defiance aimed at the heart of Nyx. The ground trembled with the force of their endeavor, a muted rumble that spoke of defiance. In the command hub, Voss watched the readouts, her heart pounding in rhythm with the pulse. "Status report," she called over the din of activity. Chen's voice came through, taut with anticipation. "Frequency stable, signal is holding, but we're pushing the limits." "Keep it steady," Voss urged, her gaze fixed on the projections. "We need to buy ourselves time." As the minutes dragged into hours, hope flickered tentatively on the horizon. The gravitational anomalies began to falter, their patterns disrupted by the force of humanity's will. Nyx shuddered in its orbit, its baleful influence wavering. But victory was not yet assured. The forces behind Nyx were not so easily thwarted. The anomalies surged anew, a testament to their relentless resolve, a reminder that the battle for survival was far from over. Voss knew that this was only the beginning, the first strike in a war that would redefine the terms of existence. But in that war, humanity would not be found wanting. They would rise, as they always had, from the ashes of despair. In the depths of Ark Epsilon, amidst the hum of machinery and the focused intensity of the team, the seeds of resurgence were sown. The darkest hour had come, but with it, the dawn of a new resolve, one forged in the crucible of adversity and tempered by the indomitable spirit of humankind. As the Ark's systems strained against the limits of their capacity, Commander Lila Voss stood resolute, a beacon of endurance against the encroaching dark. This was not the end. It was the genesis of a new beginning, the threshold of humanity's resurgence, a defiant proclamation that they would not go quietly into the night. And in that declaration, a subtle shift occurred, not in the planet's orbit, but in the hearts of those who dared to dream. The breaking point had come, and with it, the promise of a future yet unwritten but fiercely determined to be claimed. The storm would pass, and when it did, humanity would be ready to rise once more. The rogue planet loomed ever closer, an ominous shadow against the backdrop of the cold, endless void. Its unexpected approach had thrown the crumbling remnants of Earth and its inhabitants into disarray. Governments had fallen, chaos reigned, and the few who clung to hope did so with the tenacity of those who had nothing else to lose. The gravitational pull of the wandering celestial body threatened to tear their world apart, both literally and figuratively. In the heart of what was once known as New York City, now a skeletal remnant of its former self, a ragged group of survivors gathered in the underground shelter of an abandoned subway station. They huddled around flickering lanterns, their shadows dancing eerily on the cracked walls. Among them was Dr. Marissa Klein, a physicist whose defiant spirit had yet to be broken. Her eyes were filled with a steely determination, the kind that had driven her to the forefront of the makeshift resistance forming against the impending doom. Today, they would attempt what others deemed impossible. Today, humanity would reveal its true capabilities. "We have no choice," Marissa said, her voice firm despite the tremor in her hands. "The planet is on a collision course. We can't just sit here and wait for annihilation." The others nodded, their faces grim but resolute. Among them were engineers, scientists, and soldiers, people who, like Marissa, refused to accept fate's cruel decree. They were united by a common purpose: to fight back, not only for survival but to reclaim the dignity of a species long underestimated. Their plan hinged on a device they had cobbled together from the detritus of a world in decline. Part particle accelerator, part experimental propulsion system, it was a testament to human ingenuity and desperation. If successful, it could alter the rogue planet's course, saving what remained of their world. If they failed, their lives, and the lives of millions, would end in an instant. As they prepared the device, a low rumble reverberated through the station, a reminder of the approaching threat. Above them, the sky was a tapestry of swirling clouds and piercing winds, a chaotic symphony orchestrated by the rogue planet's invasive presence. In the control room, Marissa and her team worked with precision, their movements a blur of activity. Cables snaked across the floor, connecting the massive, humming machine to a ramshackle array of screens and consoles. Every element had been scavenged, repurposed, and optimized under impossible conditions. "Marissa, we're ready," called out Daniel, a former NASA engineer who had become her right-hand man in this endeavor. His face was lined with exhaustion, but his eyes shone with a fierce determination. "Initiate the sequence," Marissa ordered, her voice cutting through the din. "Let's show them what we're made of." As Daniel flipped the switch, a low hum filled the room, escalating into a powerful thrum that vibrated through the walls. The air crackled with energy, a testament to the machine's latent power. Outside, the skies darkened further, the rogue planet exerting its relentless pull. Yet, beneath the surface, in the heart of the Earth, humanity was mounting its defense. The machine roared to life, beams of concentrated energy lancing upward, punching through the atmosphere with relentless force. They converged on a single point in space, targeting the rogue planet with a precision that belied the hodgepodge nature of the technology. In the command center of the extraterrestrial observers, entities that had monitored Earth from afar, their dispassionate gaze now fixed on the unfolding drama, a flicker of surprise registered. For eons, they had watched civilizations rise and fall, their interest piqued only by the potential for novelty and knowledge. These humans, they mused, had always been unpredictable, their potential overshadowed by their propensity for self-destruction. Yet now, as their instruments detected the energy spike emanating from Earth's surface, the observers realized they might have underestimated these resilient creatures. The beam intensified, its focus unwavering. Slowly, imperceptibly at first, the trajectory of the rogue planet began to shift. The gravitational forces that threatened to ravage Earth were being manipulated, redirected. Humanity, against all odds, was fighting back. "We're doing it," Daniel breathed, his voice a mixture of awe and disbelief. "It's actually working." Marissa's heart pounded in her chest. She dared not breathe, lest the fragile balance they had achieved falter. She knew the risks, understood the stakes. But here, in this moment, they were defying the impossible. The observers, now fully engaged, watched with a newfound respect. These humans were not merely reacting to their fate, they were rewriting it. The audacity, the sheer refusal to capitulate, was astonishing. And then, as if echoing the sentiments of those watching from above, a change swept through the makeshift command center. The weariness that had settled over the survivors lifted, replaced by an electric sense of possibility. They were no longer merely survivors, they were warriors, architects of their own destiny. The ground trembled, a reminder of the rogue planet's proximity. But with each passing moment, the threat diminished. The beams of energy continued their relentless assault, guided by the collective will of those who refused to surrender. In the depths of space, the rogue planet began to veer off course, its path altered by the unexpected force of human determination. The celestial interloper, once an unstoppable harbinger of doom, was now subject to the whims of a species that had long been underestimated. For the first time in the observer's long history, they were witnessing a turning point, a moment when humanity's true strength was revealed. It was not just their technology or their will to survive that impressed, but their capacity to transcend their limitations, to push beyond the boundaries of what was deemed possible. As the rogue planet receded, its threat diminished, the survivors in the underground shelter erupted into cheers. Tears of relief and joy mingled with the dust and grime that coated their faces. They had done it. Against all odds, they had defied extinction. Marissa allowed herself a brief moment of triumph before she turned to face her team. "This is only the beginning," she said, her voice carrying the weight of new resolve. "We've shown what we're capable of, but there will be more challenges ahead. We have to be ready." The observers, watching from their distant vantage point, acknowledged the truth of her words. Humanity had proven itself formidable, a force to be reckoned with. But the universe was vast and filled with uncertainties. Yet, in this moment, the tide had turned. Humanity, once seen as fragile and fleeting, had demonstrated a resilience and courage that defied expectation. Their ingenuity, their indomitable spirit, had shifted the balance, setting the stage for a new chapter in their tumultuous history. The rogue planet, now diverted on its path through the cosmos, served as a testament to what could be achieved when hope, determination, and the will to fight converged. It was a beacon, a symbol of a species that refused to be defined by its limitations. As the survivors emerged from the depths of their sanctuary, blinking in the pale light of a new dawn, they carried with them the knowledge that they were not alone, that they had allies unseen, and that their struggle was a part of a larger tapestry. In the wake of the crisis, a new unity began to take shape. The factions and divisions that had threatened to tear humanity apart gave way to a collective purpose. They had faced annihilation and emerged stronger, more capable than before. The observers, their curiosity piqued and their preconceptions shattered, resolved to watch more closely. There was much to learn from these humans, these remarkable, resilient beings who had transformed a moment of peril into a testament to their strength. As the dust settled and the skies cleared, the survivors looked to the future with rekindled hope. They knew the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but they were ready. They had faced the storm and emerged triumphant. They were humanity, and they would not be underestimated. In the silence that followed, as the echoes of their triumph reverberated through the cosmos, a new era dawned. It was a time of possibility, of potential, and of promise. Humanity, against all odds, had begun to chart its own destiny among the stars. The rogue planet loomed in the night sky, an implacable mass of darkness against the feeble attempts of distant stars to pierce its void. It had slingshotted into the solar system, its trajectory a cosmic warning shot aimed straight at the heart of humanity's fragile existence. The world's governments, caught off guard and unprepared, had faltered, succumbing to chaos and pandemonium. But in the shadows of society's collapse, a new order emerged, one driven not by politics or power, but by the sheer will of survival and the indomitable spirit of human ingenuity. In the crowded confines of the solstice, a hastily assembled international coalition of scientists, engineers, and the best minds humanity had to offer, the air thrummed with the energy of thousands working as one. The massive space station, a patchwork of disparate technologies and cultures, orbited Earth like a guardian angel, its sole mission to avert the impending cataclysm. Dr. Alara Holst, a renowned astrophysicist with hair as wild as her theories, stood in the command center, her eyes locked onto the holographic display that dominated the room. The rogue planet's path was projected in shimmering blue light, intersecting with Earth's orbit in less than 72 hours. Beside her, General Marcus Lai, a stoic figure of military precision, watched with arms crossed, his face a mask of unyielding resolve. "The final phase of Operation Aegis is in motion," Alara announced, her voice cutting through the tense silence. "Team Alpha, are you ready?" In the adjacent chamber, a group of elite astronauts, specially chosen for this mission, nodded solemnly, their stark white suits glinting under the harsh lights. At their helm was Commander Ria Nakamura, a pilot with nerves of steel and a reputation for defying the impossible. Affirmative, Dr. Holst, Rhea replied, her voice calm as a sea after a storm. We'll deliver the payload. The payload, a series of nuclear charges designed to alter the rogue planet's trajectory, was humanity's last, desperate gambit. The calculations had been checked and rechecked, algorithms honed to a razor's edge by generations of collective knowledge. The margin for error was non-existent. Failure would mean obliteration, success, a new dawn. As Ray's team boarded the sleek vessel docked to the Solstice, the station vibrated with anticipation. Engineers monitored systems, technicians triple-checked connections, and every soul aboard held their breath, each acutely aware of the stakes. Meanwhile, a subplot of despair played out across the planet's surface. The world's elite, having abandoned hope, retreated to their fortified bunkers. They had dismissed the coalition's efforts as futile, a quixotic endeavor doomed to fail. Their vision clouded by arrogance, they had misjudged humanity's capacity for greatness, their faith placed not in action but in survivalist apathy. As the vessel detached, hurtling towards the rogue planet, the Earth watched, united in a shared dread and an unspoken prayer. The craft's engines roared with the collective hopes of billions, a sonic boom that reverberated through the fabric of space-time itself. Inside, Rhea and her team worked with precision, their movements a symphony of efficiency. Each had a role, and each played it to perfection, their minds and bodies honed by countless simulations and scenarios. They were the embodiment of human potential, a microcosm of what could be achieved when differences were set aside, and humanity united for a common cause. As they approached the rogue planet, its features became apparent, a pockmarked surface scarred by eons of cosmic drift. The task before them was monumental: plant the charges, activate them, and escape the ensuing shockwave, a dance on the edge of annihilation. Ray's voice crackled over the comms, steady and composed. Initiating Phase 1. Team, execute maneuvers. The vessel descended, its trajectory calculated to the millimeter. Robotic arms extended from its hull, precision instruments capable of withstanding the harshness of space and the unknown forces of the rogue planet's gravitational pull. The charges were deployed, each one a testament to the pinnacle of human engineering. Back on the Solstice, Alara and General Lai monitored every detail, the tension palpable. Alara's fingers danced over the console, recalibrating, adjusting, ensuring that every variable was accounted for. Phase 2, Rhea announced, detonation sequence engaged. The countdown commenced, a digital display ticking down like the heartbeat of the universe. In those final moments, as the vessel pulled away, the world held its collective breath, time stretching into an eternity where hope and despair intertwined. Then, with a brilliance that rivaled the birth of stars, the charges detonated. Light erupted from the rogue planet, a cosmic flare that illuminated the void, turning night into day. The shockwave rippled outward, a tidal force that altered the planet's trajectory, nudging it ever so slightly, enough to avoid Earth's fragile embrace. On the Solstice, cheers erupted, a cacophony of relief and triumph. Tears flowed freely, strangers embraced, and the command center became a sanctuary of shared humanity. Yet amidst the celebration, Alara's eyes remained fixed on the display, her heart yearning for one final confirmation. "Rhea, do you copy?" Her voice trembled, a whisper of hope amidst the static. There was a pause, a silence that stretched until it was almost unbearable, before Ray's voice crackled back, triumphant and victorious. "We did it, Alara. We're coming home." The vessel, though battered and spent, had survived the ordeal, its crew intact. They were humanity's champions, having faced the abyss and emerged victorious. As the rogue planet sailed harmlessly past Earth, the world's elite, hidden in their bunkers, realized the magnitude of their error. Their self-imposed exile became a testament to their failure to believe in humanity's potential, their insulated lives a monument to their catastrophic misjudgment. Humanity, once fractured and faltering, had risen against the odds. The rogue planet encounter became a defining moment, an epical shift in human history. The world, united by a shared triumph, began to heal, societies rebuilding with newfound purpose and solidarity. In the days and years that followed, the solstice became a symbol of hope and resilience, a reminder that when humanity stood together, nothing was beyond reach. The legacy of the rogue planet encounter was etched into the annals of history, a testament to the human spirit's capacity for greatness. And so, as the stars resumed their eternal dance, humanity looked to the cosmos not with fear, but with the confidence of a species that had dared to defy extinction and had, against all odds, emerged victorious. The rogue planet loomed like a dark omen over the sky, its jagged silhouette a stark reminder of the cataclysmic threat it once posed. Now, though, it was a testament to humanity's resilience and indomitable will. Where once the rogue planet threatened annihilation, now it stood as a monument to human ingenuity and courage. The battle had been fierce, the coalition of Earth's nations united in a singular cause: survival. With technology pushed to its limits, humanity had managed to alter the rogue planet's trajectory, sparing Earth from obliteration. It was an endeavor that had cost dearly, both in resources and lives, but it had also unlocked a new era of unity and progress. In the aftermath, the world lay in a precarious peace. Rebuilding was slow, but steady. The global economy was reshaped by necessity, as nations invested in sustainable technologies that had so dramatically demonstrated their potential. The scars of the battle were visible in the cities, with towering debris serving as a grim reminder of what had almost been lost. Yet, amidst the ruin, there was hope, a fragile, yet vibrant hope that shone through the ashes. Commander Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the ISS Aegis, the flagship of Earth's newly formed planetary defense fleet. Her eyes, once weary from endless nights of planning and combat, now glistened with a newfound determination. The rogue planet, now stable in its relocated orbit, was visible from the observation deck, a silent sentinel in the void. Elena had lost many friends and colleagues in the battle, but their sacrifices were not in vain. Her leadership had been instrumental in coordinating the defense network that ultimately saved the planet. She turned to face the holographic display, where a map of Earth showed the progress of reconstruction efforts. She allowed herself a moment of pride. The unified world was a testament to what humanity could achieve when it set aside its differences. On the ground, Dr. Marcus Avery was overseeing a new research initiative. The rogue planet's close encounter had revealed unprecedented scientific opportunities, and Marcus was at the forefront. His team was studying the strange mineral deposits the rogue planet had brought with it, which promised breakthroughs in energy production. These discoveries held the potential to propel humanity into a new age of sustainable energy, reducing reliance on fossil fuels and mitigating the effects of climate change. Marcus, who had once been consumed by cynicism and doubt, found himself invigorated by the challenge. For the first time in years, he felt like he was part of something greater than himself. The rogue planet had forced humanity to confront its vulnerabilities, and in doing so, had offered a chance for redemption. Marcus was determined to seize that chance, to ensure that the future was brighter than the past. In the sprawling refugee camps that had sprung up across the world, people were beginning to rebuild their lives. Among them was Lena Kim, a young woman whose family had been displaced by the tidal waves that resulted from the rogue planet's gravitational pull. In those chaotic days, she had shown extraordinary courage, organizing relief efforts that saved hundreds. Now, Lena was a recognized leader in her community, her tenacity and compassion earning her the respect of those around her. The experience had shown her the power of collective action and the strength of human spirit. She had lost much, but she had gained something invaluable: a purpose. Lena was committed to rebuilding not just her city, but the bonds between people that the catastrophe had strained. As humanity grappled with the implications of the rogue planet's visit, there was a sense of cautious optimism. The crisis had forced a reevaluation of priorities, leading to unprecedented collaboration on global issues. New alliances were formed, old rivalries set aside in the face of a common threat. The world was not yet healed, but it was healing, and that was enough. In the shadow of the rogue planet, humanity had faced its darkest hour and emerged stronger. The encounter had tested their resolve and forced them to confront their limitations. In doing so, it had also revealed their potential for greatness. The rogue planet, a harbinger of doom, had become a catalyst for renewal. As Elena, Marcus, and Lena stood on the precipice of this new era, they each carried the lessons of the past with them. They were determined to build a future worthy of the sacrifices made. The rogue planet had changed everything, but one thing remained constant: humanity's spirit, unyielding and defiant. The skies were clearer now, the air cleaner. Across the globe, initiatives spurred by the rogue planet's threat continued to bear fruit. Renewable energy sources flourished, driven by the new materials and technologies discovered. Urban centers were redesigned with resilience and sustainability in mind, ensuring that future generations would inherit a planet capable of withstanding the trials of time. In this new world, humanity had found a renewed sense of purpose. The rogue planet had forced them to look beyond their differences, to unite against a common foe. It was a lesson they would carry forward, a reminder that their greatest strength lay not in their individual achievements, but in their ability to work together. The rogue planet remained in its new orbit, a silent guardian watching over Earth. It was a reminder of the fragility of life and the strength that could be found in unity. Humanity had faced extinction and prevailed, proving once and for all that they were not defined by their limitations, but by their potential for greatness. The rogue planet encounter had left its mark on every aspect of life, from politics to technology, from culture to the very fabric of society. Yet, in its wake, it had also left a legacy of hope and resilience. Humanity had been tested in the crucible of catastrophe and had emerged tempered and renewed. Elena, Marcus, and Lena, each having played their part in the survival and renewal of their species, stood as symbols of this new age. Their stories, once separate and disparate, had woven together in the tapestry of humanity's triumph. The rogue planet had come as a harbinger of doom, but it had left as a silent testament to the strength of the human spirit. Humanity had faced the void and returned victorious, forever changed, yet forever the same in their unyielding resolve to survive, to thrive, and to reach for the stars. In the end, it was not the rogue planet that defined them, but their response to it. Humanity had risen to the challenge, defied the odds, and in doing so, had ensured their place in the universe. They had proven, once and for all, that they were here to stay. And as the rogue planet hung in the sky, a testament to their victory, humanity looked to the future with hope and determination. They knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, as one people, united by the bonds forged in their darkest hour. The rogue planet had changed everything, but in the end, it had only served to reaffirm the enduring truth. Humanity was here for the long haul, and they were only just beginning to write their story among the stars.